Thanks for checking out the Chrissy Mayer podcast. We are on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification icon. I always fuck up this intro. And if you're on iTunes, please go subscribe and leave a sexy or creepy review on there. I will be reading the best or worst reviews every week, so long as they are 5 stars. This episode's review comes from Mayor McDickcheese via Apple Podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
And this review is called Thanks for a Different Perspective. Heard you through Sam Tripoli's podcast. Really enjoying your show and getting a different viewpoint on the same topics I hear on other truthers' podcasts. Keep it going. I wonder, am I a truther? I don't know.
Have you gone full truther?
I don't know. I'm so excited to have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm interrupting.
You're talking before I'm introducing you. No, it's fine. Imagine like we just go a whole episode and then I'm like so excited to have this guy on.
I've done that before.
I am so excited to have this guy on. He is the host of the Irish Goodbye podcast with Mike Feeney on the Gas Digital Network. Also, he has a feature-length film called Timing, which just came out on Amazon Prime. Comedian Mike Cannon.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing it.
I'll pretend that I didn't interrupt your.
Yeah, that's okay. And recent blonde. So is it true that blondes have more fun, Mike?
No, I mean, I'm still a dad, so I'm a dad in quarantine. There's not much, the fun is not what it once was.
Yeah.
Now it's very pure.
The phrase blondes have more fun, I think, applies to young women in college or people without responsibilities.
Yeah, or people who dads own a ski slope.
Yeah, that would be great. God, in my next lifetime. Yeah, I was just telling Mike that I'm at my boyfriend's family's condo, and it's like upstate, and there's Wi-Fi difficulties, but more so than that, and I've always had this problem with their family, is that there are no serious drinkers in this house but me. So anytime there's a get together, like I always have to like show up with like a bunch of stuff. I'm like, oh, we kind of.
Oh, like, so they don't accommodate you. They're not like, well, Chrissy loves this.
I mean, and I don't want it to get to that point, because now I feel like I'm like a real alcoholic. Like everyone's got to think about what I want to drink all the time. Like it's a big
but
enough.
Do they not drink at all?
No, like really no. Okay, no, his dad not at all. His mom not at all. Yeah, Frank will drink, but he's
right.
not like. And I like to drink when I do these podcasts, and I also just like to drink when I don't have somewhere to be, where I have to be like composed, which in the quar is pretty much every day. It's not like, it's like I've said, a drink just finds its way into my hand, it seems, during this quarantine. It just feels easy, and who am I to not go with the flow?
I could totally see that. I'm not drinking currently. I haven't been drinking for like 19 months.
What?
But yeah, it started as an insolidarity thing with my wife during her pregnancy. But then after, I was like, well, I'm kind of writing better and I'm thinner and less hungover. So it was like just an effective trifecta where I was like, all right, I'm going to wear this for a little while. But I will say this, there is no better place that I would rather be a dysfunctional alcoholic than quarantine.
Yeah.
It's the perfect spot to do it. Like anytime that we remember Hurricane Sandy, when like the club shut down, electricity shut down, I was living like a pirate within 30 minutes.
Just you had a hook for a hand and
yeah, just gambling and like drinking whiskey in the dark.
Wow. Yeah. I always love when there's kind of a either natural disaster or social disaster or now a pandemic, because it's really like no response. It's like being on an airplane. It's kind of like time that doesn't really exist. It's like when you're on an airplane, like you're not really expected to like get anything done. It's just kind of like time that doesn't count, which is why I really love drinking on airplanes. But now that you say that you've gotten thinner and you feel better and you write better, it might be worth a try for me.
Well, yeah, and also, but here's the thing. Largely, I'm still doing it because of a child. Like, I wouldn't have been an effective parent, 3 weeks in or a month in or whatever, where my kid is waking up at all hours in the night and I have to be totally present and locked in. If I was even half hungover, I mean, I'd end up killing my son like Christopher laying on his dog in Sopranos.
So maybe, you're not going to get to bond over both puking at the same time or shitting your pants at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, we took turns.
So you've been a sober dad throughout your son's whole life?
I'm not sober. I'm still high. Like I'm
Oh.
smoking quite a bit of pot, but I'm
Oh.
functional. Like pot doesn't affect me in the sense that booze does. Booze like slows me down on a physical, mental, and emotional level. Pot is kind of just bottlenecks the thoughts and makes things a little more manageable.
Yeah, I feel like pot kind of helps me get to where I want to feel like, yeah, emotionally. It bridges the gap. And I find I'm a lot easier on myself when I smoke.
Yeah.
I just feel like, yeah, it kind of lightens the mood within my own psyche. It's just kind of like, you're okay. You know, you're okay, Chrissy. You're not, you're giving yourself a hard time.
Yeah. Oh,
Everything's
that's my
great.
constant mantra. Every time, I mean, I smoke pot daily, but my mantra all the time is just like, dude, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle. Like all day, I'm teaching my son not to twist the cat's head off its shoulders. Be gentle, be gentle. And meanwhile, I feel like I'm saying it to my own insides.
How old is he now?
He's going to be 1 on Friday.
And he's really just
No,
the
he's not.
visual of trying to twist the cat's head off its body is so fucking funny to me. And that's like
But
what's be so fun about being a kid. You're like, I can try this out,
oh
and
yeah, I
hopefully
mean,
someone catches me.
100%. Everything is he puts himself in harm's way 100% of the time. Anything he gets his hand on meets instant peril. It's like it's gnarly.
Wow. How has being a dad, God, I wonder if you get this all the time or if you already hate this question, but how has being a dad like changed your approach to comedy?
I mean, I don't know if it's like even being a dad or just the sense that now I have obviously more financial responsibility. It's that's also where not drinking has helped me as well. It's like it sharpens the focus. So I've always had a pretty good work ethic, I think. Like I was never lazy when it came to comedy, but I definitely drank through some things where I wasn't necessarily as sharp as I could have been, probably took a day off here and there, all that stuff. Didn't necessarily understand that it should be, a progression and constant output and, blah, blah, blah. You all, know it. But what being sober and a dad has done is just like, all right, now I have to, because if I'm not, then I have to get a job in an office, and I would legitimately rather leave my kid fatherless than do that.
Ugh, yeah, I've had those. They're pretty fucking brutal. Have you ever had times in your career where you knew that you were being sort of like lazy with comedy? Because it amazes me how many people have been doing comedy for so many years and have no idea how lazy they are when it comes to their career.
Yeah. I think maybe like really early, when I didn't necessarily understand that, you had to do it every night, 3 times a night, 5 times a night, whatever it was. And, I was doing it as much as I could, but there's always the next level. There's always, opportunities to get better earlier. It took me a long time to even be fucking competent, I mean, I look back at some of the old shit and we've gone over it on our podcast and like dissected it and just trashed me. And it's like, it is have you watched old tapes?
On which one? Oh, have I watched your old tapes? Oh,
no,
yeah,
no,
tons.
your old tapes. I would never, trust me, I've erased them
I'd love to
from
watch your old tapes.
public consumption. But no, have you watched like your old shit?
I one time watched the set I did the day my mom died, and I was like, I have spots. I knew this was gonna happen. I'm gonna go do my spots, and that was like the fucking worst stream of consciousness blathering, just like fucking up my own tried and true years old jokes kind of a set. God, no, I haven't listened to like just a regular old set in a while, and I'm really afraid to. Like I'm afraid. Yeah. For what I'll uncover. I'm also afraid to listen to one and go, that sounds like a recent one. I'm like afraid to
well,
see
I'll say
if it's similar.
I have tags from like my first ever set that I put in my special. Like just lines.
Wow.
Not even premises, but just certain lines that I just like kept hanging on to and then just put them into like updated, newer, meatier shit that I'm now proud of. But it was kind of jarring to see that. But I mean, the delusion. Like, I think that's what you get when you watch old sets is I actually was proud of myself for brainwashing myself thinking that I was, okay to continue to do this.
But you have to do that. Like you're going to quit. If you don't think you're okay, that's like most human beings are not going to continue a thing if they're not seeing some kind of progress or they just really love doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Wow. I mean, that must tell you that you were like, definitely a natural if you've got your old tags still in there.
It just shows me that I wasn't like 100% lost. Like I'd stumble onto a good idea every once in a while, but 98% of the shit I was saying was so, I was hacking Jim Norton. I was just trying to be other comics basically.
That's really interesting. I mean, at least you're kind of like trying to follow in the footsteps of somebody, like stylistically. Okay, this worked for them, so
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
God, I'm
totally.
afraid to go through old sets, but I know I should. Like, I know I should be all like, let's see if I can excavate old jokes. And I
Mm-hmm.
just, something about looking back is really scary because I'm afraid to see how long I was one way for a while. Like if
Sure.
I don't want to stumble upon, like, wow, here's 3 years where I was doing the same fucking 10-minute set.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you turn over bits though a lot. Every time I see you, you're doing new
Okay. Whew.
shit.
Thank God. Thank
Yeah,
God.
I don't get that that vibe from you. I mean, that's one thing where it's like you watch it and you're like, yeah, I was really trying some shit, or I did not know who I was, or man, my voice is not even remotely close to what I sound like now. It's
My
fucking weird.
One of my few comedy regrets is I went through a period where I was passed at New York Comedy Club and I was like doing great, and then it was a combination of like trying new stuff and my mom like getting really really sick and dying, that
Mm.
I like, and Frank even like boyfriend even tells me, he's like, yeah, you went through a period where you were just like consistently bombing in New York Comedy Club. He's like, I feel like that's why you don't get spots there anymore. I was like,
That happens when you get locked into a
yeah,
pattern in a certain place. I remember
yeah.
when I first got into the comic strip. I mean, granted, they had like 11 people, and 6 of which knew what was happening at the time, in the club, and I fucking ate shit for like 18 months in that club,
You
every
said at the
single set.
cellar?
No, no, at the comic
Oh,
strip.
oh, at the
No, no,
comic strip.
at the cellar. That's years later. So at that point, I felt like relatively comfortable. But thankfully I got better and better as I went on. But there are people that definitely bomb them their way out of the cellar.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you're good. It's impossible for all the people that ever work there to never bomb.
Right.
It's just,
Totally.
do you work there? Were you working at the cellar pretty regularly?
Yeah. Yeah. I was lucky. It was 2 years, I think, right when this about shut down that I've
Can
been
you
working there.
imagine getting fast at the cellar like fucking March 5th or
Eighth.
something? Yeah, March 8th. And then
Yeah.
you're like, well, goodbye. But I imagine those people would be in better standing than the people who you say bombed their way out, which
Yeah.
is,
Who knows though? Because that is horrifying because a lot of people I think did pass recently because that Comedy Central show was taping. Like my last show
oh,
before the quarantine was at the cellar March 15th for the Comedy Central show.
wow.
And it was so weird, man. It was, they only had 80 people in the VU, which seats like 220 or something like that. Everybody spread out, kind of, but, they had different mics for each comic. Some comics were like shell shocked, like hands in the pockets, just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And,
Why? Because it was a taping, or because there
no,
were
because
less people?
everybody knew that it was the last time we were doing comedy for a while, or for everybody
Whoa.
thought it was like 2 weeks.
What
They're
date was
like
this? Like, what was this?
March
March?
15th.
Wow. Because like there was this kind of a different feeling at my last show. I think it was March 16th. It was
Mm-hmm.
in Philly. It was like the comedians of the compound, but it was Philly and it was fans of the show. So nobody gave a fuck. Like the world was crumbling all around us, but
Yeah.
we're all like shoulder to shoulder hugging, autographs and shit. And like the combination of like the Philly people and fans just
Mm-hmm.
not giving a fuck at all. They're like, whatever, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. We had the best time. And then
And
yeah,
I
then
think Feeney did Philly like March 20th. So I think it kept pushing.
whoa.
And I think they were kind of like, limiting capacity at that point, but they were still clustering together. And he said the same thing where it was like great and terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find, because when you were at the cellar and there is
Mhm.
this fear and the stakes are so high, how do you handle trying to push yourself and possibly doing new stuff there? Like that feeling that we all get,
Yeah.
like, and then also dealing with the feeling of stay with what's strong, Mike. Don't
Right.
don't go too risky. You can't fuck up here. How did you deal with
There's
that?
like two ways. So two things. The best part about working that club is they have 2 nights, new joke nights. So they do new joke shows at the Fat Black Pussycat, and before all of this, obviously, in an ideal world, it was sold out every single time, and they knew they were getting brand new bits. So you were there. There were no pressure to do well or anything like that. So you could take butt naked premises right on stage, and they were there for the process. It's this weird thing where people respect the seller so much that they're like, fuck yeah, we'll go to see these people bomb their ass off. But that's also another thing without drinking, is like when I was drinking and doing comedy, I know the shit that worked, so I was more likely to stay with that because I also was fighting the booze. Like I was trying to be like, normal yet fun and whatever on stage, but I didn't want to be like, all fucking shit-faced. Right.
That's probably the worst, that feeling knowing you're like, I am one too many, and it's like...
The first thing that goes for me is my tongue. Like my tongue just gets so lazy and fat, and you could just hear the booze in my voice. It sucks. Yeah. Wow, so but being sober, it's like, oh, I can, we'll try, or Cali sober. That's what they call it in the magazines. But I have better recall and I have better ability to kind of bounce out of shit situations. So if you bomb, I'm not like,
I did great. And if your tongue gets lazy when you drink, I'm sure your wife has been really happy. I'm off of alcohol.
And it's changed in size too. So now it's a little more piercing and daggering at her vagina, whereas before,
really,
just lazily cloaked it on her hood. See what it could do.
It was cloaked, laid on it like a blanket. Wow. Okay, good. So there was a place for you to try out new stuff. You didn't have to be on edge, and then if that worked out, you could bring it to, I guess, like the regular comedy
shows. But also, I mean, it is terrifying to work in new stuff, but the whole point of being there is to turn the corner and become a better comic. You're performing now with the best comics in New York. If I'm doing the same shit that I'm doing to get in there, it's like that I'm not even using it for the right reason.
Have you noticed comics, like every time you see them at the Cellar, they're doing the same set?
Some, but I mean, not really. Like everybody,
they're all mixed up.
Yeah, everybody there, and there's a lot of good comics outside of this club. This is not me being like, this is the only place you can see good comedy or anything like that. But, the people that do get a chance to work there, they're typically, right-minded comedians where they're there to be comedians and to do jokes and work on material and like experience the best fucking club in the city.
Yeah. Who was the hardest person you ever had to follow there, or like hardest time?
Greer.
Okay.
Yeah, Greer. I mean, Greer is just a fucking murderer, and his pace is so slow, but his pops are so big that it's almost like a transcendent energy. So you don't necessarily, it's like you don't know how to drop into the wave because you're like, do I hit it really hard with a lot of energy? But he was super laid back. But so I've followed him too hot before, where I like tried to barrel into his wave and just got spit the fuck out and just had to kind of like regroup and set my own pace. But it's, he's a tricky guy to follow because he's just so good.
Yeah, usually like a super slow comic, well, they don't have as big of pops. It's just sort of like, it's like cool jazz. It's like CD 101.9.
Yeah, with like beautiful sound effects and act outs and like vignette scenes. Like, Greer is an amazing comedian.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like you struggle with either keeping back or letting out your political views on stage or in social media?
I don't feel like anybody's holding me back from doing so besides myself. I support what I support, and I speak out about those things when I'm educated on it. And in other stuff, I mostly am reading a lot. I'm trying to develop an opinion that's worthwhile instead of just sharing my first thoughts on shit, because usually my first thoughts are terrible, misinformed, and they like aren't even really funny. So, I'm not a political comedian, but if you listen to my hour, I have social shit in there because we're living in this world together. So how could I not reference, certain things that are happening,
What was it that you referenced in your special?
I think I spoke about gender. I did a whole thing empathizing with my wife's period, like like a real thoughtful kind of injection into what that must be like. I talked about Me Too because I got sexually assaulted by a dog when I was 8.
What?
And granted, like, it's not like it's a joke. It is funny, but it was traumatic, genuinely, at the moment. Like, some fucking giant poodle got on top of me when I was like 8 years old and started humping the shit out of me. And I I couldn't get up.
Whoa.
And all of the adults around were like laughing.
So poodles that's actually scary, because I was like, is this a chow, is this a pit bull? What? Poodles are the most intelligent dogs, so
right, he knew what he was doing.
He was probably like, where's the eye contact, Mike? Like, we're doing this.
He had one paw in the back of my head, the other pulling my ass up.
Oh my God. Wow. Did a penis come out? Was there like
I have no idea. No, it wasn't like, it didn't like come in my eye and then
it just went in your mouth so quickly you didn't remember.
Yeah. It was over so fast. But no, I have a joke that kind of like just touches on all of that stuff, and it's not, I mean, you probably could understand where I stand by listening to it, but for the most part, I'm trying to spray everywhere. Like, I'm making fun of everybody because that's my fucking job. It's to see the absurdity and hypocrisy in literally everyone. And right now, that's not hard.
Yeah. I think
because everybody's a fucking hypocrite. It's insane.
It's good to be like making sure you're staying even, because if you're not, it's like, it is kind of a tricky thing to be like pigeonholed into like one group. And it also doesn't, it's frustrating because even if you are trying to be even in your stand-up or even in your critique of the hypocrisy on both sides, all it takes is it seems very little, or one comment for somebody or like another comic even to just like group you in with a certain group of people.
I mean, I'm not doing a great job. Like, I've been called a lib cuck retard, and I've also been called a Nazi.
Oh,
it's like,
man, which one is it?
Yeah, it's like I'm disliked by both sides, so I'm literally for no one.
I wonder if it's like, I'm for no one. I wonder if it's your hair. I wonder if your hair helped with the Nazi thing.
Oh, maybe. But this was before all that. I had grays, so I am clearly not the master race.
Do you, because I feel like, because I have a show on Compound Media, you have a show on Gas Digital. Those seem to be two networks, which I see. And sometimes I have a hard time figuring out, like, when I see comics kind of like make fun or poke at either of these networks. Some people like to say like, oh, these are like more conservative or like right-leaning networks, and I'm like, are these comics just like Jaws because they don't have shows on a network? Or it's like, are they hearing one thing, or these are just kind of what seem to me like old kind of sweeping generalizations. Have you gotten any of that because you have a show on Gas?
Not really. I mean, not politically, because I think I also, anytime I do Lewis's show or I do anybody's show, I'm pretty open and honest with what I think. And if we have differing opinions, we have differing opinions. Like, what am I going to beat you up? Like, it's like, I don't know what to say. I have no power to cancel anybody. I have a different opinion than people. And some people get really mad when I have a different opinion than them. It's a bizarre thing. Everybody claims the other side is so sensitive and they're the one canceling. It's my experience that both sides are fucking fragile little babies.
What was the time where you noticed it was like what issue, or what was the time that in particular you're like, wow, this person is like, you don't have to like name who it is, but like a time that someone was where it surprised you, like, wow, this person's very sensitive over an issue that you didn't necessarily see?
No, I mean, not even a particular issue. And I'm not even talking about comedians. I'm talking about like the listeners, the comedians themselves,
Right.
I mean, there is nobody better at creating division within their own community than a fucking comedian. It's hilarious.
God.
The same ones that in the breadth of this comedy community, and we're brothers and sisters, and then they'll just take down somebody that has the polar opposite, view of them because it's a hypocrisy that they tried to do that to somebody else. And so the cycle goes. It's fucking nauseating. But like, crowd wise, I think I got, labeled as like a real liberal tard boy in the Gas Digital universe when I was on Real Ass Podcast and we were just talking about the Kavanaugh stuff. And I just had empathy for
For
Dr.
Brett Kavanaugh. No.
Yeah, for that beer swilling fella. He just seemed like he just wanted to have a good
He
goddamn
just
time.
loved beer.
It's not even about believing or not. I think I said I'm interested to hear what comes up, because like it sounds like she was traumatized. Who knows? Like, like, were you there? I wasn't there, so I'd like to find out the truth. My political allegiance doesn't sway into the assault arena. If somebody of any side assaulted anybody, be it woman, man, child, whatever,
dog,
it's like you're fucking out of here.
Poodle.
I'm a Democrat or registered Democrat, but it's like, am I standing up for Bill Clinton if he like sucked the shit out of some 8-year-old's ass? No.
Yeah. Or if he, his foundation stole kids out of Haiti, big deal, That's interesting. So, yeah, and I wonder why the fans gave you so much shit for that. Because maybe it's like, maybe they are. It's like you wonder how certain fans like group together, and how maybe more fans tend to feel a certain way, or is it just like people are more vocal? I don't know. Maybe they thought since you were a dude, you should have been like on the side of dudes in general.
Guns and dudes, bro.
Yeah, aren't you a dude?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a weird thing. I think people, podcasting now feels a lot like wrestling did in the Attitude Era. Like it's almost like dudes watch it and listen to it as a source of soap opera. Like it's their soap opera.
Wow.
And they want to inject themselves into the storyline of podcasting. So they try to sway your emotion one way or another. And if you disagree with what they say, well then fuck you. You're my new heel.
That is so interesting, Mike. I've never heard anybody compare podcasting to wrestling, but it fucking makes so much sense, because I'm like, why do I have so many male podcast YouTube fans and listeners? It's like, where are the fucking women? I was like, I need to do a makeup tutorial. I need to do something. Like, I need to, but like stage wise, I feel like my fans are more female. So,
oh, yeah.
But like the wrestling aspect of podcasting, yeah, because you have the groups online, like subreddits that love to talk about it. We have people that are like kind of almost like professional trolls of comedians, and like watching their every move.
Yeah, they're known trolls. Like it's a credit. People list blocked by and then whoever in their bio, like it's a fucking badge of honor. It's like, this is a game. It's a game. It's a moronic game. It's like, it sucks that it started, social media started so pure, but no, it's just took on this. Yeah. I think in our business, at least, it's taken on this really, kind of poisonous thing.
Yeah. I wonder if like, I know that some people thought, what was her name? Christine, I'm thinking in the Kavanaugh case. But a lot of people,
Ford.
Yeah. A lot of people seem to think like, well, as soon as this, she kind of, it was like shut down. It's like she kind of disappeared. Like she didn't, it seemed like put up much of a fight, or I don't know, keep trying to talk about it. A lot of people thought that she was just bringing that up and just making up a story to just like keep him out, but I didn't.
Well, the thing is, like, so what sucks about that is half of that is true, and it's not her fault. It's the DNC and their corrupt fucking horseshit, and why they decided to put that on the 1 yard, like to release that story on the 1 yard line. So they held it, and they wanted the right moment to come, and as soon as things were about to happen, boom, that's when they fucking released it. And it's like, how dare you do that with such a serious accusation, and also with something that shouldn't be politicized? Like, this guy shouldn't be serving as a judge anywhere if this is true, let alone the fucking Supreme Court. So why all of a sudden are you just like trying to, I think that's justified frustration with people.
And wasn't it also back from when he was like many years ago? Wasn't it from when
it was in college or high school or something like that?
So do you think, let's say like it was totally found to be true, you think somebody who did that in high school or college should not, like, what is that person then allowed to do for a job if that's true?
I think, at some point, if they just continued their life without like learning any lesson, and it's been 30 years and they've just continued being successful without ever like paying any retribution, then yeah, I don't think they should serve on the fucking on the Supreme Court. Also, that shows a wild lack in judgment, like number one, which is the number one, thing you should have on that job.
It's a judgy part of the, there's judgy elements in the job.
Being a judge requires good judgment.
Yeah. But it hadn't, it's weird that it hadn't come up all this time. Yeah. Like right up until, I don't know, not topical.
I mean, listen, I don't even know. So I'm not even taking a side in the sense that like, I don't know. And I didn't read enough about it, but the idea that I'm even open to hearing, a reasonable accusation is like, oh my God, this guy's a piece of shit.
Let's hear this out. You fucking liberal cock. Like, wow. So much listening is a gay quality.
Honestly, I don't disagree.
It is. It's very gay. I'm like, anytime my boyfriend listens to me, I'm like,
yeah,
questionable. In your movie is about a love triangle between a stand-up comedian, a girl, and the career that he loves. Is this possibly inspired by real life?
Not mine. So I didn't write. Well, I improv'd all of the dialogue, like the whole script was improvised, which is, it's kind of nuts. It was built out in terms of, we had scene ideas and we kind of, went to all these different locations, whatever. But it was based, the beats of it were based on the director's life and like some of the stuff that kind of came up while he was pursuing stand-up initially. And now he's done, he's out and he's doing movies.
How long did he do stand-up for? Somebody I know?
Do you know Alex Anderson?
No.
He was at the Village Lantern, like a lot. He hung out with Akash quite a bit. You definitely have run into him. Okay. So he's the director.
Terrible memory, so
I do too, unless I'm like faced with the person. But also the amount of times that like, I've reintroduced myself to a comedian for the 48th time, and they're like, dude, we've had meaningful texts, and I'm like,
I feel so bad. Because then I know I come off like a bitch, like a forgetful bitch, and it's like, maybe you need to work on being more memorable, but it's never on them. It's always like on me for forgetting.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's I think maybe Bonnie had a bit. I used to have a bit about that too, where it's like, well, then, if I've met you 10 times and your face does nothing for me, it's like, at this point, you got to fucking figure something out to make yourself more memorable. Do a backflip.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I do have a really bad, man. I can't go over how bad this wine is. That's the thing, is like, even if you don't drink, have like the basics in your house. But that's the thing. If you don't drink, you don't even know what the basics are.
Yes, you do. That's it. Here's the thing. Unless they have a crippling alcohol problem, then this is unacceptable. If they just don't drink, they should have a whiskey, a vodka, and a wine of each color.
I would respect if there was somebody in this family who had a drinking problem, but an ambivalence towards alcohol to me is worse than like, no, somebody here has a problem. We're trying to protect them. Yes. We love this person. We can't
I'm right there with you. It's one of the greatest inventions of all time. And ambivalence towards it is almost like, how dare you? You're neglecting history.
Yeah, it's like you're not even going to acknowledge a whole category of drink, of imbibement.
The country's laws were largely drawn around this one fucking product.
This was the state of the lack of alcohol here, is that like my boyfriend Frank, he brought over here a thing of Rumplemans. He's like, I really like to drink Rumplemans. He's like, we can drink this. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's like that's what you drink in 6th grade at the St. Patrick's Day parade.
It literally tastes like someone just liquefied a pack of gum. It's just like you're drinking gum. It's like, oh, this tastes like I'm about to be like fingered in the backseat of a van. It's what you drink. It's what he's like, I black out on this all the time when I was 19. I'm like, great.
Nice. Great. That's like bringing home a sweet bottle of Mad Dog 2020.
What? That's a real drink?
Oh my God. It's the only drink that's ever made me cry. It's so Mad Dog 2020. This is how gross it is. I think at some wine distillery or vineyard or whatever, they're making their wine. They have all the wine, splashing down this one tube. And then obviously some of it falls and they have a thing that catches the excess. And now all the mixed excess of every different wine that they've been, making all day is Mad Dog 2020. So they pour that swill into a bottle. It's all the mixture. It like makes you feel insane. And I remember drinking it one night in college at Geneseo, and I just started hysterically crying outside of a frat house on Orchard Street.
Wow, a SUNY boy.
Hell yeah.
Wow, my sister went to SUNY Binghamton.
Oh, nice.
And yeah,
we are academic rivals.
She was very upset that she did not find a boyfriend in college.
Oh, Binghamton would not be a place to find
Jews.
A suitable mate.
Yeah, I don't know what she was thinking of.
I just meant because it's a horrible city.
Oh, God, I went straight to the Jews. All right. Yeah, also what I meant to say is that it's upstate.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, my brother went to Rensselaer, also not a great mate finding city, also upstate New York. Troy, New York. Oh
no, Troy sucks.
And it was an engineering school, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's a good school.
It was very good. The brains kind of really trickled down. Like he was the oldest, and then it was my sister, and then I was like barely.
Your dad shot his purest rope early on.
He really did. His brain is like smart rope, and then it was like, He literally has said to me like, "Well, we had a boy, and then we had a girl, and then we didn't care what came out next." Proud of saying that.
Hell yeah!
Like, wow. So I could have had a tail.
That's why you're a comedian.
Yeah, for sure. That or there was a lot of chemical testing done on Long Island.
That is for sure
I feel
as
like
well.
That's part of it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like I feel funny. I'm gonna get cancer.
as you're licking one of the light poles. What part of Long Island?
Rockville Center, so like Nassau County,
the. My dad's from Levittown.
Oh wow, the famous Levittown.
Pure systemic racism and white trash.
Wow. So exciting. Yeah, William Levitt. I was reading about this the other day. Like people were like, "Oh, Long Island is racist."
Well, I mean that town, both in Pennsylvania and in New York, was literally in its bylaws. There's like racist. What is that called? Literature.
Right. Real estate law, law.
Well, they said it's built for all the GIs when they came home from World War II, and it was supposed to afford everybody equal opportunity to get a loan for these houses to basically create suburbs. And in the bylaws, it was like no black people.
But weren't there black veterans coming back at that time? So it's like, where did they go?
They did not go to Levittown, except for one black family went to Levittown, Pennsylvania, and they were literally under siege for like over a year by Molotov cocktails, people trying to light their house on fire, like some crazy ass shit. And this guy just wouldn't fucking leave.
Good for him. Fuck that. I mean,
crazy.
You don't want to get hurt, but it's hard to know. Like, stand your ground or live,
But it is wild to just mention that. I mean, I would never say that wouldn't be my opener at Governor's, but it is funny that if you even mention that in Long Island, they'd be like, nope. Slavery was 9,000 years ago.
Well, because it's funny how many people who live in Long Island just have no clue of the history teacher. And I only know because my sister is a history teacher. And she would tell me that like the bridges, and Robert Moses, also huge racist. He basically, I think he was possibly responsible for like the city planning in New York City, but also maybe parts of Long Island. I could be totally wrong, but this is what I've heard. And that the bridges on the way to the beach, it was the main road to the beach, right? To Jones Beach, and there'd be like bridges or overhead roads, and he made them just short enough so that the buses from the city, I guess from the poor parts, couldn't get under. Christ. He made them specifically low.
It's like it's so creatively racist.
Yes, I appreciate the creativeness.
But I mean, this is like, instead of Jenny Slate stepping down from voicing a character, this is the shit that should be addressed. The actual systemic stuff built into the laws of the land.
I don't understand. I watched that Jenny Slate thing. Or was it Jenna Marbles? Fuck. It might have been Jenna Marbles,
Jenna Marbles
she was the YouTuber, canceled herself, and I don't understand why. It makes me so sad because it's like you really shouldn't apologize for stuff that you do that is not intended to be racist.
Well,
Like, if
she
it's
already apologized and also like acknowledged and has supposed, like, I have never watched a second of her stuff,
no, me
but
neither.
this
Nor
is
will
like,
I start.
yeah, no, but I've certainly read highlights, so I will respond as somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But apparently, like, she's addressed all of this stuff in the past, and it has been active in like righting her wrongs, has been like donating to causes, like all this stuff. So it's like, if somebody is that actively changing themselves, who does it benefit to tear them down?
It's really insane. Yeah.
That's where like, you know, Tim Dillon's point that he always hammers home of, like, you know, a lot of this is mediocre people trying to level up, and it's like, that's
really,
yeah, and it's true, you know. So some of that, like, especially that speaks to, you know, just people being like, no, it should be my turn, and it's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. You're not helping any cause by taking money out of it and taking a platform away from it.
it's not like that person was next in line anyway.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah,
only thing separating between me and greatness is this guy.
Fucking Jenna Marbles. If she was out of the way, I would be the YouTube star of tomorrow.
Yeah. I think then she shut down her YouTube channel, which I was like, all right, I'm not a fan. I don't like her, but she should keep doing her thing. Like, she shouldn't guilt herself out of her thing.
Dude, either that or wipe it clean and sell the fucking channel and then donate that money to whatever cause you want. You know what I mean? Like, I'll buy that fucking channel. I would spend my entire life on that goddamn thing. She has millions and millions of subscribers. Could you imagine just being given a clean YouTube channel for your own shit with millions of built-in subscribers?
Oh my God. Yeah.
If that's the thing. It's like, you know, all of these people that have, you know, withdrawn themselves from voiceover work, which is performative and it doesn't help anything. None of them have given the money back. None of them have offered to donate 100% of their salary. It's like, Jenna Marbles could sell that fucking thing. And it's like, you know, she seems like a good person, but it's like, if you really want this over and this part of your life to be done, sell it and donate even half. Keep half for your trouble.
Yeah. To me, it seemed like, and I watched her like sad video. I was like, maybe something spooked her.
With the crooked glasses.
Yeah, I'm like, why is she spooked? Like, what's happening? Like, did someone threaten her life or her family? Like, fuck those people if that's the case.
That kind of stuff is, you know, it's becoming like frightening digitally now. If you get too big of a profile, people are, you know, trying to come after you, especially if you take any type of political stance whatsoever. It's like, you know, the other side they have their warriors that are going to try to fucking either find you guilty of something or create something that throws you off that pedestal. So
has that ever happened to you, like, no, on any kind of social media? No, you haven't been trolled very much.
I mean, of course I've been trolled, but I'm not even remotely popular, so nobody nobody cares enough.
People care, Mike.
People well, that's care. Nice. Well, that's not an open invitation to show me your allegiance to me by, you know, doxing me. No thanks. Have you gotten fucked with on that level?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, after this Chrissy Teigen stuff this week, I got some death threats and some like some shit, some like extra stuff that bothers me in a way that makes you go, oh, good. Do I have to move? All right, you know. But
what, like pictures of your apartment or something?
Pictures of my house plants. They're not watered, you know.
Yikes! So it's in the house.
Yeah. Just like, you know, yeah, it's kind of just like very specific death threats and like a little more than usual. I'm usually used to like typical stuff. But I was like, what has Chrissy Teigen ever done for you? You know, it's like, I doubt that this is coming from like her mother or like any close friends.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, I think there's a lot. Well, there's also a lot of kids online. So, you know, we're not accounting for how many of these are like, you know, 9-year-olds with a Twitter just being like, I just told some lady I'm going to kill her. And it's like, all right, you know, whatever. I guess if I was 10 and, you know, could get out my every thought, I probably would under an anonymous pseudonym.
Yeah, that's why you got to make sure you're wait, you have a son, right? Yeah. Your son doesn't get on Twitter till I don't know.
Ever.
At least ever.
Yeah, I'm hoping like, you know, there's going to be some sort of major social media blockbuster, like they just break them up like back in the day, you know, and these will all just be gone.
And
So
wouldn't it
then
be
we'll just
nice to
have our
go back?
podcast. Yeah, we'll just have our podcast. I would love that. You guys can comment on the Patreon or leave reviews, whatever. If we had no Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter, I would be totally fine speaking as many hours into a microphone as humanly possible. And that's the only entertaining shit we do anyway. Post
Yeah.
videos, talk into a mic, all the other stuff is nonsense.
I wonder if like social media would ever get canceled, like canceled out. I don't know. I feel like it's still, people love to gossip. I think people like love celebrities less than they used to. I mean, they
Yeah.
used to really like in an unhealthy way, put them on a pedestal. And then I think with the award shows, the mass public sort of was like, I don't need to hear like a political speech after every person wins an award. And they kind of tuned out of that more and
Yeah.
more. But
But
it seemed,
it's the opposite. So now they hate them as much as they used to love them. Right? Like there's not really many. I mean, I guess there is some middle ground. They're just the not as outspoken. They're kind of the
exactly.
reasonable people that don't have to air out their every grievance. But there's a lot of people now that are like, celebrity worship is now celebrity hatred, but it's the same shit because they're still being worshiped just on a different wavelength.
It's like you're thinking about them the same amount of time. It's
Yep.
just your vision board looks a little different.
Yeah, now you look like Ray Finkel's room.
I know Norman Finkel. No. Oh wait, that's the guy from
No, you were right. Ace
okay.
Ventura.
All right.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, is this a sports reference? I don't know.
Kinda.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh boy. I don't know. It's the nice thing about like it used to be. I think the best part about right now is you can make your own content and you don't need to wait for somebody to pluck you out to give you a special. You don't have to be chosen as much as like you can choose yourself.
Yeah.
You can just like bust through, make your own way, put it out yourself.
Right. But also it's like you have to determine whether or not your shit meets your criteria on whether or not to release something. It's like everybody can put out a special, which means a lot of dumb fucking specials are going to be released, but it's like you have to be your own,
quality control. Yeah,
quality control. Exactly. Yeah,
it's hard because then you're like, oh, is this the best I can do right now? Is this worth going out right now? Because I fucking shot a special 3 years ago. I just didn't put it out because I was like, I don't think it was that good. Like, I just was like, I don't think this is the best I can do right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you would know if it doesn't live up to your shit. It's like, there is no reason to drop it. It has to be as good as you want it to be.
I had such a great idea. It was like a bunch of different venues. It was like really exciting. And one was like a couple might have been out in Long Island. I don't know.
But you did like West Side Comedy Club too, right?
Yeah. And that's when I think I also shot something there to submit for like the half hours. But I don't even think God, that was like also, I think 2 years ago. I don't even know.
That was when we still believed in that shit.
That's when we still believed. Yeah. Youthfulness, youthful days. The comedy divide kind of bothers me because we really should be supporting one another and not trying to like cancel each other or jump all over each other. If there's like, the Crystal Leah thing was like upsetting to me because it was like, I was like, well, his own friends don't give a fuck. It's almost like they thought they were next in line. Like, let me collect his spots. Fuck this guy.
Right. But also maybe they know something we don't know, or they've been privy to
okay.
certain behavior where they're like, all right, if it's out now, maybe I'm going to speak out. I mean, who knows?
And that's the thing, is that from being around a friend for years who talks a big game, but then like when it came down to like the screenshots of his actual exchanges, like I don't think he even had sex with somebody who was younger than 18.
Dork. Yeah, he's just a fucking dork. A newly famous dork. Just like Aziz, Aziz just fish hooked some chick. But at least she wasn't 16. I mean, the only gross, or not the only gross, I'm sure there's countless, but the one gross thing that I saw was the like, oh, you're 17, and then a year later being like, what's up? And it's like, dude, you're famous. How'd you remember that?
That is called a Google reminder.
Yeah, what the fuck? You set an alarm? Like, that is a bizarre thing for somebody of his stature to like dig back in and like be like, hey, I don't know.
It's kind of nice. It's like, you think he'd have so many chicks all over him for being famous that he wouldn't need to set a Google reminder that this one girl's turning 18. But it's like, oh, okay, it's nice.
Yeah, it's either nice or it's like that guy has a sociopathic focus.
Yeah, which it's like, which is sucks because it's like also comedians. It's all the key ingredients for creeps. The late nights,
Yeah,
all the alcohol,
yeah.
questionable decision making. Poor
And there's
judgment.
certainly, but I know creeps that aren't, criminals or
Right.
aren't, like even fucking with the law. Like they're just like, they're in their own kink and they live that shit and they do it and it's all consensual. And, or as far as I know, who knows, they could all be, nightmares. But as
Yeah.
far as I know, they're all open about their kink and they're not like, living that alcohol-free, drug-free life, banging all these girls on the road, all that stuff. And then, they're talking to middle schoolers.
I don't think he was trying to be creepy or like toe the line of legal and not legal chicks. I think this is somebody who just like wanted to have a lot of sex, was throwing out a lot of chumming of the waters all over the road.
That definitely could be the case.
And of the 2,000 women that he reached out to, okay, maybe we have 20 that are oopsie underage. So it's like,
that's not you know what? That's not a bad defense where it's like he should show just at this point, because what he showed, his like retort was super embarrassing and didn't acknowledge most of the accusations. But it's like, all right, here's 100% of my shit. Comb through it. See how much I tried to get pussy. It's like, it's unfathomable the amount.
I tried so hard.
Yeah. Maybe that's the most embarrassing part of all of this is how hard he had to try.
He struck out. Homeboy struck out quite a bit. But, he was tall. He's still alive. I mean, like, he's tall. He'll bounce back.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah. It does. It makes you a little bit weary of, like, fame or celebrity, although I'm never going to be, like, reaching out to people that are underage. But it's like, yeah, I might say some other shit that will get me in trouble.
Yeah, I said something about somebody sucking shit out of an 8-year-old's ass on this podcast. There's stuff, there's stuff that I've said in my life that is out of context, horrific, and the normal person would have a huge problem with it. And it's like, yeah, that's because it wasn't for you.
Can you imagine, like,
for whoever's listening?
We record this podcast. It's like I haven't even released it yet, and you're already getting like canceled. We're like, how did that even get out? You're like,
I'm gonna release it personally.
It's been released. Because that's why that bothers me about with like comics attacking other comics or judging other comics, because it's like I truly believe that there is no lack of opportunity in this world. It's that like everything is meant for you, is coming to you, and if you're working as hard as you can and you're aligned with your purpose, your voice, whatever, I'm going to sound like really new agey really soon, but if you're like in tune with all that, you're not going to miss anything, and You're not in competition with some other redheaded comedian girl, if there was one out there right now, like same level as me. I would just be like, yeah, we're doing different things.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm a firm believer in that too, and it certainly bums me out, but it's just not something I'm thinking about, because it's like I have my group of friends, right? I have comedians I respect, I have comedians whose shows I do, and I have people who I don't talk to. So it's like the comedy community, while large, is also pretty small in what you make it. So my immediate community, I have some pretty badass people that I love that definitely have my back, and I have theirs, and I respect what they do. And, that's what it is. It is what you make it,
Do you feel like your core friend group has changed much since you started comedy, or do you feel like you have the same?
I mean, it's hard to be best friends with the people you start with, because now we're all headliners. Like, we're on the road solo. So my really good friend, Brendan Sagalow, opens for me on the road whenever I'm allowed to bring somebody. So it's like, he's not going to be there forever. He's going to become a headliner, and then it's going to be tough for us to stay in contact. It's the same thing with, DeStefano. Him and I were best buds. I used to open, and we're still like super close, talk all the time, but it's like, in terms of seeing each other, we both have kids, it's a little different. It's crazy.
Do you talk to Chris about like dad stuff?
Yeah, for sure. He's been a dad for like 5 years,
Forever.
for 5 years at
For
this
as long
point.
as
So
I've known him.
yeah, he's been a dad type of fella since I met him. But yeah, he's been a real dad for like 5 years. So I mean, anything that I got going on that I have no idea what I'm doing, I shoot him a message for sure.
Like, what's been like the most scary part of being a parent, or like the most like, oh shit, I don't know if I know how to do this, or I wasn't ready for this?
It's not so nothing. You're not ready to do anything. You don't know how to do anything. You just do it and then you figure it out. But the thing that I wasn't prepared for, even though I knew about it, was the physical pull back to your child and family that you feel on the road.
Whoa.
Like it's a
Okay.
gravitational from reaches inside of your body and takes hold of your spine and tries to pull you back to your fucking house. And it's much different, much tougher, and just like a more emotional trip every time that I leave.
When was the first time you felt that? Like the first time that you felt the pull? Was
I
it
mean,
your first?
I left when he was I think I did my first thing when he was 11 days old. Like I had to. It was too much money. I had it scheduled, and I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
have to do this. And so I was there for 4 days, and I was like, freaking the fuck out. It's tough. I just watched this kid being born. My wife is there, not alone because her mother was there, my mother was there. Like she had a crazy team, but it's my son. It's tough to miss any time,
Oh.
which I have not been able to for the last 4 months. So
And now
now
you're
I want to miss
back.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, now I
yeah.
want to miss time.
You're like, I feel like he's seen enough growth and
Yeah, I could stand to be away for a little bit.
childy moments. Aw. What's like the most, I guess what's the best part about it?
I mean that, like,
Is it
just
just all of it?
it's that pull is pretty cool. I'm a selfish egomaniac. It's like it's nice to know. I thought I loved my wife to the capacity that I can love anything, and meeting my son, loving my son, has made me expand my love for my wife as well. It's like it's crazy, dude. It's
Wow.
like it's psychedelic new agey shit. So if it's easy to be like, I hate my kids and they shit and and I get no sleep and derp, and that's
Because
probably
that's
what
what
else.
everyone says. That's what every
Right.
dad, comedian dad I've heard say, or like not even comedians, just lots of dads are
Yeah.
saying that.
And it's just like, all right, maybe for you, dude, but it's like I'm not letting myself go into that comfortable space. It's like I'm enjoying the shit out of this. My dad sucked. I'm the dad now. I get to rectify all the horse shit he did. That I'm 100% all in, focused, like just into it. It's the
That's the
best.
thing. I wonder if the shitty dads that we know just had great dads. And so they're like, yeah, I turned out fine. I don't really need to work at this dad thing.
My dad didn't. I think he was like, I had a shitty dad. I turned out fine. I can be a shitty dad. I think that's
Yeah.
probably more like it.
That was exactly my dad. My dad had a very shitty dad, but he was
Hmm.
a kind of shitty dad. Like he
Yeah.
was there. He was just like it would show up at dinner, it wasn't trying to like get to know us. He would just
Yeah.
be there to like yell, or he was very big on telling us like not to get a second helping. That's how he felt he was parenting.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Oh, even on Thanksgiving, Mike, it would be like, what do you think you're doing? Oh, your vegetables are still there. Yeah,
Was that a female thing, or just because he wanted the food for himself?
I think at one point maybe called everyone in my family fat. Like
I'm sorry
he
for laughing. It's
definitely,
just
no, please laugh. Like, and like everybody in my family has probably been like all of us a little bit overweight at one point, but also like normal. We're not like fitness fanatics either. I know for sure. Like, I think he gave my mom some kind of a body, like a self-esteem image problem, because he like one year at Christmas bought her like a bracelet that was actually like a children's bracelet. It was like too small on her, but like it fucked with her head.
oh my
Like she just
god.
was like, and it got to the point where my mom fucking loved Haagen-Dazs ice cream, like coffee Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and she would wrap it in a plastic bag and hide it in the freezer, and she would wait till my dad fell asleep to open it up and start eating it. And then like we would kind of like, me and my sister, we would like kind of like meet in the kitchen and have like coffee Haagen-Dazs, and it was like our secret thing, because we knew he would give us shit if it was like waking hours, or if he was up,
Wow.
for
That's
sure give us
wild.
shit. Yeah, yeah, he had a big probably still does, had like a big thing with weight, and like being overweight. I don't know, I feel like it's a German thing, like he's a
Have
German
you talked
immigrant.
about this on stage?
No.
Also, it is a German thing.
Yeah.
That's an astute observation.
I'm like,
But you've never
stick
talked
to
about this?
fucking designing cars, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm not sure how to make it funny because it's not like it's done either. Like when
Right.
my brother has 2 kids, and exactly what you were saying about when you have a shitty dad, you try to be a better dad, because I feel like that's going on for my brother right now, because my dad's always been like really critical of the three of us, but my brother like loves being a dad, and I didn't even think that was possible. When my sister-in-law was pregnant with my first nephew, my dad said to both of them, like, I better not see a fat little grandkid running around here. Like,
Oh my
you have
God.
my support, but basically, like, he better not be overweight like you guys or whatever, some shit like that. I mean, like,
Wow.
they're not sticks, you know what I mean? Like, they're not like twig people. They're kind of like regular. They're also like not fitness people. They're just regular fucking people, you
The
know?
story of Hansel and Gretel has scarred the Germans forever.
Yeah,
If
they're
children are attracted to candy, all hell can break loose.
regular people, regular bodies. Holy fucking shit. And I don't understand like where my dad's like issues came from, because it's not like, and he also like kind of had an issue with like my brother's choice of wife too, for like
Of course.
sort of weight issues. But I'm like, it's not like my brother had the choice between like his wife and fucking Heidi Klum. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he was like, oh, should I pick the fucking chick with the 6-pack or this other one, you know? It just bothers me how fucking like he's been at one point critical of all of us at one point. Like, I think he maybe said like my sister looked like fat in her dance leotard one time, like
Wow.
years and years ago. And then my mom died 2 years ago. One of the fucking funniest things that she ever said, and it was very sad at the time, but it's like also really hilarious. Like, my mom said something to the effect of like Frank, my dad's name's Frank. He's like, Frank, you wanted me to be thin, you know, for the longest time. You always wanted me to lose weight. Well, now I have cancer and I'm really skinny. How do you like that now? And it was something like that. Or at the time I was like,
I mean, that
oh God,
is,
I'm gonna cry. But like now it's fucking funny.
yeah. I mean, that's funny for her. Like, that's a sharp fucking comeback right there. Holy shit. She had that one locked and loaded.
And like my mom was never like fat. She had just like she had like a mom body. She was
Mm.
like, you know, like, I don't know, like 150 pounds or something. Like, not just like a little late, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It makes me
Were they
so sad.
divorced when your mom passed, or they were together?
No, they were together. They were together. I don't know why, because we were all like, the jig is up. We don't, you guys don't like each other. And they weren't even like
I guess
cool.
Stockholm is in Germany.
I guess it is. I guess it is. And like both, and I don't know, like, you know, what was first, the chicken or the egg? Like my dad shitting on my mom or my mom shitting on my dad? I don't even know. But I know now that I'm like a grown woman in a relationship, it's like, oh, they weren't uplifting each other in like the man woman ways. Like my mom was definitely not making my dad feel like an important in that like man way that like men like to feel, you know what I mean? And then my dad for sure was fucking like definitely making comments about her weight, and they were both so passive aggressive and sarcastic as fuck to each other, rather than really sitting down and having like any kind of real conversation. And then when they get mad, they just separate, and they would be like, see you at dinner.
It's an endless loop, because you just keep being mad at each other, and you just keep, for doing exactly what you're doing as well, and then you just keep doing it back and forth to each other. That's terrible.
It's so, and it makes me like really skeptical, and less so now because I've been like with a guy and it's been good for like 5 years, but like it took a lot of work and like therapy to be like, oh, I was like really afraid of marriage for like a really fucking long time. Like I remember after my brother's wedding, because I knew that he wasn't like thrilled with my brother's choice of woman just based on fucking physicality alone. I'm like, maybe she's the nicest and best girl he's dated, you fucking shallow douche. We were like in the car, and he was like driving me back to Astoria, Queens, where I lived at the time. And he seemed really upset. And I was like, is he upset about the fact that they got married? Like, what's going on? And I was like, and I pushed him, because I have this way about me that's kind of a little bit like a therapist, where I can just like, I basically just like help people talk when it seems like they want to talk about something. And then out of nowhere, and this was before my mom had cancer at all, my dad out of nowhere was like, yeah, your mom and I haven't been physical in 20 years. And I was like, ah! And it was like one of these moments where I was like, wow, I know we're both adults, but like, please don't talk to me like I'm a buddy. Like, you shouldn't be telling your kids this at any age. Like,
no, never. Never. That's for therapy.
I don't know.
My parents don't believe it, or my dad doesn't believe in therapy. My mom is an advocate. She does it and has apologized for all of her past sins. She's good. She's a good egg.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the generation of dads that don't believe in therapy because it's not gay. It's not like you're less of a man for talking about it or doing it. It's like all it is becoming aware of your patterns and like what your personal triggers are. Like, oh, why when I get angry do I shut down? And it's like you can trace that back and you can start to unravel it so that you can have like healthier patterns and shit. So nothing about that is like, I don't know, less than masculine or like, oh, I should be able to solve my problems with brute force, you know?
I know. I should be able to punch things away.
Yeah. Punch away the gay.
I think we solved it.
So I don't know. I don't know why I got started on that tangent. Oh, because I'm mad at my dad still.
Me too.
But it's nice that like, yeah, it's really cool. Like you can tell, like hearing you talk, you're like, wow, I love being a dad. Like it pains me to be away from my kid, and it's made you love your wife even more. Like that's amazing to hear. That's
I mean, she's the entire birthing process is something that I think people should be forced to watch somebody they love do that at like some point in their life, because it's fucking gnarly, man. There's no way to be the same after witnessing the whole pregnancy and the birth and like obviously the immediate after. But it's just like, it's humbling, it's ego shattering, it's everything that mushrooms have done for me, it also has done for me.
You're like looking at your hands the whole time, like your wife's giving birth. You're like, whoa.
There's just trails coming off my fingers.
You felt different because you're just like, holy shit, the miracle of life, or like, wow, she made a baby with her body, or
all of it. All of it. Yeah. I mean, it feels like this is a simulation. Sometimes it sort of felt like that during the pregnancy. It felt like that during the birth, but then like, my wife had to get an unplanned C-section. It was just nuts. The whole process was wild. They took her whole body out and then took the kid out and then put it back in and sewed her up. Like it doesn't make sense. The fact that people have gotten to that point where we're able to do that and mostly not kill everyone. It's like,
and it's not being talked about all the time. It should be like front page news. See, woman has C-section and lives.
That's exactly right. It's insane. It's insane.
Did they take out her organs? I always thought they just like cut it open and then the baby just jumps out.
Yeah. Well, apparently they cut at a spot where it was like right at my son's lip because they opened her up and he was like, so it's fucking nuts.
Wait, it didn't cut the baby. It just like was like,
he was just, his lips were just right at the incision. But yeah, so gross. But I didn't see. You don't watch the thing, but you hear them jostling about, and your wife is sitting there like getting moved around and stuff.
Oh, you don't watch her like cut her open? And,
no, I can't. Even if you were allowed, I couldn't possibly do that.
Whew. Yeah. I'd be like, I'm gonna fuck this guy up. You're like, no, he's trying to get your son out.
I'd throw up. I'd just throw up. I have a weak blood stomach like that. I can't do it.
Were you there? Did you like hold him as soon as he came out?
Yeah, I mean they have to put him on a table and all that stuff, but I was the first one he met, and it was just like, you think you're going to react a certain way, and you think it's this like, almost Molly MDMA, like overwhelmed with love. But like, it was way more confusing than that. I felt like I was watching myself from like only 6 inches out of my body. Like sometimes, sometimes when you're outside of your body, you're like from a big vantage point and you see, but I was only like halfway out of my own body and like kind of like almost like new Avatar, like finding my own limbs and like looking at my baby. It was just such an overwhelming, like everything, every emotion, like intellectually, every part of it is just overwhelming your circuits.
Imagine you're also like, and I also did drugs right before she gave birth.
Yeah, I also, did a bump of heroin right before.
Wow, that's really neat because you hear some dads say like, well, it takes a while before dads feel any sort of like attachment to the kid.
Nah, yeah, I mean,
Maybe it was my dad who told me that. I'm still waiting. Any day now.
I mean, I can see why some people would say that, and it doesn't feel like how you think, how you're accustomed to love feeling. It's a different thing entirely. It's something that you're motivated to be a soldier for. It's
Ooh,
like you're not taking care of it like the mother, but it's soldier. Like I'm going and getting stuff. I'm fucking preparing stuff. I'm changing. I'm doing brute work. So I am like, you got to be willing to like, that's what the initial love and connection felt like for me.
it's like love, but also now you have a job.
Yeah.
It's like you're lit, you know? It's like, oof, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
pushed out of the water slide. I have no idea. I'm just like, wow, that's really neat. The miracle of birth. Did you have a name picked out like long before?
Yeah, I mean, I was joking when I suggested the name for my son because my favorite movie is it Rad? It's a 1986 BMX biking movie,
Hmm.
and it's like, before now it's starting to have a bit of a resurgence because I actually got to interview the cast the other day on Jim and Sam, which was the fucking
Wow.
second greatest moment of my life outside of my son being born. It was unbelievable. I almost cried. It was ridiculous. But that movie, like, I love it. It was my favorite movie, and I threw out the name Crew, which is the lead in the movie, as a joke to my wife's family
True
because they're
canon.
Italian, and I thought they were gonna say like Cologino or some horse shit. So I threw out Crew, and then all of her cousins were like, "Baby Crew, we love it, Baby Crew," and they just ran with it, and so that's his fucking name.
Baby Crew. No, so his real name is Crew?
Yeah, Crew Joseph.
Oh my, CRU?
CRU. Yeah.
Is that a real name?
Yeah, well, now it is.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, why
The
not?
crew.
And now the movie will live on forever. So I'm also a promotional partner in the movie.
Good. It's come full circle.
Exactly.
Yay. Mike, what are you working on? Where can people find you,
Uh,
follow you, all
Thank you so
that?
much for having me on. I appreciate it. This was
Yeah, you're
super
great.
fun. At I am Mike Cannon on all social media. I prefer Instagram. Twitter is evil, but do what you got to do. Whatever you exist on. YouTube.com/Mike Cannon Comedy. I have my special up there. I have my first hour is also up there. So I have 2 hours of stand up. I have shorter clips. I just released a mockumentary on my character Frank Rigatone, who's a American hero / gym owner from Rockland County, New York. And he just wants to liberate his home and his state. So
That's
just
where you're
check that out.
from.
Yeah, exactly. I filmed it at my wife's parents' house.
Oh
it's
my
hilarious.
God.
It's stocked with jokes. Brendan Sagalow plays my wife. You'll fucking love it. I promise. So pass that around.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Mike, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
This
for
was a
having
lot
me.
of fun.
Hell yeah.
Say hi to crew for me.
I will. Say hi to Frank from me.
Aw, okay, bye.